All right, how is it going, my magnificent sons of bitches? Decided to come back and explain this in a little bit shorter of a form, not on a live stream. I wanted to go ahead and do an actual video and record, here and just do a smaller snippet of basically what I was going to whenever I talked about the false flag that is known as the Uvalde, whatever the fuck, thing going on right now. The current thing, we've already gotten into the habit of saying the current thing. And ultimately, that just needs to be status quo from here on out as it regards to anything going mainstream. So, what we have here is another one of these staged mass casualty events. So much so that they actually come out and call it a mass casualty event. Now, whenever I was in the military, whenever I would do these operations, we called them mass casualty drills. And essentially they look the same. So I mean, whenever you take a look at whenever they passed the propaganda bill under Obama in 2011, that's whenever you started to see a litany of these so-called, mass shootings. You understand what I'm saying? And so this isn't a new phenomenon. This is more of a, reoccurring theme. And usually the theme has the same, it has the same scenarios. And I can tell you right now, the reason that you could probably tell that it's bullshit is it's already national news by the time it's all said and done. So like within 4 hours, 5 hours after this supposed event happened and took place, the mainstream media was already ready to roll out with narratives and, a formal investigation and the backstory of the grandmother. And it's no different than the Buffalo thing. Whenever you saw a video of the guy apologizing to white people, it doesn't make any sense. None of these narratives make any sense. And I'm going to tell you and explain why. First of all, it's always the AR-15. This is the one weapon that they're constantly trying to go at on the left. And ultimately, the only reason that they want to go after any kind of long rifles is because they're good sustainment weapons, for one. And the second reason would be because, they might be doing something that you would plan to use them for, on them for. They're doing something wrong, corrupt. And with that being said, so you have this other event happening. And people need to stop and think, before they jump into something. Does this feel right? Does this pass the smell test? We have these repetitive AR-15. And then the left immediately goes out, and exploits it immediately. You know what I'm saying? They're all over it. This is exactly what happens. Now, these PSYOPs are not necessarily for just one thing. Generally they have multiple reasons why they do this. You have the Davos Cluster meeting over there in Switzerland right now with the World Economic Forum whenever they get together and do the plans for the next lockdowns and the next shutdowns and, how they're going to sit there and bring us into a one world government, which will never work. It's just not going to work. A purely secular one world government system will not work. And there's never been that. There's been what you would consider world powers. The United States is considered a world power right now. You've had the Greeks, you've had the Romans, you've had the Persians, you've had the Babylonians. But there's always one thing that remains constant in these global powers is spiritual authority backs temporal authority all the time. And whenever you look at secularism as a whole, it can't sustain itself because you have people trying to push their opinions, their laws, their values on everybody else. So a one world government, a new world order as they try to present it is just not a possibility. It's not a possibility. You have to have some moral and some standards. And they're not going to cover the World Economical Forum where they're going to sit there. And to me, it's more like pestilence. It's not the beast of Revelations. They're more like pestilence. And that's all they're causing is all of this pestilence going around, They're causing fear, they're causing paranoia, they're causing a lot of the issues. Which your life would be a lot better if you just really ignored it at the end of the day. If you ignored most of their propaganda, your life would be a whole lot better. You would worry a lot less, you would have a lot less issues, you wouldn't stress out as much, you wouldn't freak out as much. And so, yeah, that's, that's just a thing that, is going to be 110% fucking fact. So you go on with that, and all of a sudden, they're not talking about what the World Economical, are they going to do another shutdown? I've been hearing food shortages. I really need to check it out for myself, but they're not going to cover that. So that's one reason why you would have this event. So they don't have to actually do their job in reporting and saying, hey, this is what we're getting from everybody else. This is what we need to work at, protecting you. They're not in it for your best interest. The media would be the last one to know of any kind of real event. Everybody else would know way before the media. The media has essentially become irrelevant. So with that being said, the second reason, and this is probably just as good as any reason right here, is the Democrats don't have a platform. Both parties are probably clearly globalist. And to be fair, with all due respect, I kind of think that right now, Biden has probably done more than Donald Trump, in my personal opinion. So whenever you're going out there saying that because the left is always going to sit there and accuse everybody who disagrees with them. And mind you, that I disagree with the left on every position that they have, pretty much. There's not very many that I agree with the left on. And even the ones that I do agree with them on, they're completely fucking wrong. And I don't understand that in and of itself is an art form. How you can I could still agree with you and you still be wrong, in my opinion. But with that being said, that the left doesn't really have a platform. They don't really have anything that they can run on. Absolutely nothing. What are they going to run on? Inflation? Because the inflation is totally due to the Barack Obama stimulus money. You're seeing the effects of the Barack Obama stimulus packages that people like myself and thousands of fucking others here on the internet have told you time and time again. It's going to cause disinflation. It's going to cause a lot of fucking issues. It's going to cause a lot of problems. And even Trump mentioned this whenever he was coming in. He knew it was coming. So, I meant they have to run on inflation. They would have to run on lockdownerism. They would have to run on the mandates. Now, granted, you're right that it was Trump that started our Operation Warp Speed. Don't get me wrong. You're absolutely 110% right. But that was pushed by the left. That was still a leftist agenda after they took over the midterms. Whenever they, being what it is, we already know exactly how they play ball. So, after they got in charge of the midterms, then Donald Trump could just throw all this shit on him. You know what I'm saying? Because you took over the Congress in 2018. So this is going to be, laying out before you. So they're running on inflation. They're running on lockdowns. They're running on mandates. You know what I'm saying? Openly violating our constitutional rights and shit. They're running on food shortages. They're running on worker shortage right now. There's a worker shortage out there. So this is what they're running on. So the Republicans have so much to work with here. And in fact, it's, almost laughable and it's almost unfair. So if you're the Democrats, what do you have to do? Well, I got an idea. How about we just go ahead and technically Roe v. Wade should have already been thrown out after they did the mandates, after they did the IDs for the mandates. You know what I'm saying? The IDs. Technically, you had no more right to privacy. Therefore, Roe v. Wade was null and void at that moment, whenever they decided to do that. Now, do I believe in a federal ban of abortion? Absolutely not. Simply because, I want them to ban it here in Texas. I as an anti-federalist, I don't really believe in federal bans. I believe that the states ought to come to their best decisions and come to the proper conclusion, which myself would be that, abortion, it should only be legalized in certain events, personally, myself. And I think that states should have that right to go ahead and come to that decision, organically, and not have it be forced by a centralized government. However, I do want it to be banned here in Texas. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like them. I have multiple reasons why I want to. First off, I am pro-life. And so most of your arguments I've heard, I don't really care to hear them again. They're almost a cliche at this point. They're repetitive, and they don't carry any real merit or any value whatsoever anymore. Maybe pre-mandate it carried merit pre-mandate, but now it doesn't carry any merit. You've lost all value in your arguments. So with that being said, I do want them to ban it here in Texas, and simply because there's a lot of people here. Our population is growing too fast, too much. We have too many people coming from California mostly, coming over here, buying up property, and, driving up tax cost, property tax, we're getting a lot more traffic, and we still have a worker shortage here. And this is, leaving California from Texas and buying up all of this property and then selling this property for, marking up the value and everything and making the school taxes go up and the property taxes go up and all these other taxes go up. It's a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. And it's a pain in the ass whenever you're trying to get to work and your fucking population has almost doubled in some places. And so the traffic is only meant for so many people. So you're constantly seeing road construction and traffic fucking everywhere. It's absolutely fucking insane. So I'm hoping that a percentage of these people that have migrated here from California move back to California and start to go back and make California better instead of coming to Texas and running away from California, and then potentially some of them voting blue and whatnot. So that's one reason why I want them to ban Roe v. Wade, and the second one is just because I'm pro-life and I don't believe that is right anyways. And that notwithstanding, that's one of the issues that the Democrats will be running on. It's not organic. The Democrats don't care to save Roe v. Wade. They're just there to give you the illusion that that's their position. That's what they're there for. And since, you've had Roe v. Wade, they had to take that away from you to go ahead and give themselves a position. And so, kick it back to the states. I'm more of a states guy anyways. States should make these decisions, not the federal government. Which is one of the reasons why I like Joe Biden is we're getting more power back into the states. So, I don't mind this administration so much. Than I did whenever it first came in. It doesn't mean that he's going to be great. I think that there's other stuff that he could do, but this is one of those things to where it's like, okay, yeah, I agree with a lot of these policies coming into these states. And so, and the second thing that they're going to run on is the gun control. And it's all this fucking placebo. Is all it is. It's a placebo. So they have to manufacture they have to manufacture a position. They have to manufacture a platform for the Democrats, because otherwise you wouldn't vote. Nobody would vote for the Democrats. Not even the Democrat voters would vote for the Democrats. Are you going to vote for high gas prices? Are you voting for inflation? Are you voting for more stimulus money to go ahead and increase your fucking taxes and then, increase the price of everything while your pay goes down significantly? Absolutely not. Everything that the Democrats say that they stand for is a walking contradiction. So you wouldn't organically vote for the Democrats, so you have to be manipulated into voting for the Democrats. So they have to give you a reason to vote for the Democrats. Well, now you have 2 mass shootings that look suspect as hell. It's almost cartoonish. It really is. People who buy into the shit at this point, it almost looks cartoonish. Whenever you have somebody going out, writing a 180-page manifesto saying that he was inspired by Tucker Carlson, and people buy into it. People buy into it. You know what I'm saying? It's just fucking buffoonish. At the end of the day, it's clownish. And, you have the Texas shooter. And let me tell you that, if you're going to do, and honestly, think about it. If you're trying to pull off a mass shooting, you're going to want something that's easier to conceal. An AR is going to be a lot more of a problem to carry and conceal than a, sawed-off shotgun. A sawed-off shotgun at close range is probably even more effective than an AR. It's going to spread, you know what I'm saying? At close range, particularly if you're going into a school, which somehow was unlocked. Sit there and think about all of the bullshit that they put in to make these narratives work. All of these logical fallacies. The school doors are locked. You have to be buzzed in to get into these schools. Trust me, I know. I've been into schools before. I understand this. So this guy had to have been let into the school. And then the police, so it doesn't make any sense at all. None of it does. But they have to put this out there so they can go ahead and run on, oh, well, these mass shootings. And we go over here. And this is what you're fucking, useless fucking mainstream media, this is what they're going to run on. This is absolutely what they're going to sit there and ask about. This is going to be what they ask on NBC whenever it's fucking Republican proxy versus Democrat proxy. And this is what they're going to talk about. They're not going to talk about inflation. They're not going to talk about the shit that affects you. No, absolutely not. They don't care. They've already told you, go get a Tesla if you don't want to pay $7 a gallon for gas. They've already told you that they don't care. So ultimately they put this bullshit out here for you to go ahead and bite in on. And for you to sit there and say, well, this is why I vote Democrat. You wouldn't vote Democrat otherwise. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't vote. The Democrats wouldn't vote Democrat. This is why Donald Trump probably overwhelmingly just fucking the votes fucking in this election were fucking ridiculous, to say the least, just like everything else that they fucking put out. It just doesn't make any sense at all. And I'll probably put this on YouTube and they'll sit there and say, well, you can't pose these questions. You can't ask these questions. You're too, but I can guarantee you the Young Turks can go on their fucking platform and they could sit there and say that the conservatives are trying to kill kids. You know what I'm saying? But they get upset and then they go out and protect these motherfuckers whenever people say, oh, we want parents' right to education bills passed where they can't sit there and, preach LGBTQ and CTR propaganda to your kids. And they'll get upset about that. You know what I'm saying? And so no, I mean, yeah, they're not honest people. The dialogues, just go and watch them on their platforms. That's all I ask you to do. Watch them and just pretend like, just sit there and watch them. Don't even listen to what they're saying. Don't sit there and listen to their fucking rhetoric. Don't even fucking reduce yourself to that, but just watch their reaction and then see how fucking, how fucking mentally sane they look. So anyways, I figured I would go ahead and do this video. I'm going to try to upload this on Twitter if Twitter will let me upload it on Twitter. I'll upload it on Facebook for sure, and I'll upload it on YouTube. And we'll see. We'll see if YouTube will allow this video up here. But I just kind of wanted to break down why these shootings and Roe v. Wade are, out there. Why they left you hanging out to dry at your own party. They left you hanging out to dry, with Roe v. Wade. And why they needed that. You know what I'm saying? Why the party needed that. They needed to go ahead, get rid of Roe v. Wade, just to go ahead and have a platform for the midterms. That's what it is. The midterms are coming up, so you're going to see a lot more of this fucking ridiculous-ass, cartoonish, buffoonish shit going on in the mainstream media. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. You people tell me what you think. You like, you sub, you do the shit YouTube tells me to do to get over. And for now, I'm out.